that right now.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler, episode number 296.
Wow!
What? Almost 300. It's insane.
We have an anniversary coming up we can ignore.
Yes, we've done it many times now.
A huge milestone that we can just blow right past.
You know, they put these like 52 weeks in a year, and we could never figure out how to like do the math to come up whether or not it was a whole year, or is it a year's worth of, is it a collection? Should we be doing a series? Is it an episode thing? Like, you know,
is it base 12? Is it base 10? Like,
right.
Hexadecimal.
Yeah. So anyhow, let's go Hex. How about that?
Really matters.
Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, Brian Hogg. I have plugins I sell and give away for free. I have courses. I just do lots of WordPress stuff. Ooh, and a podcast, Selling Plugins podcast with Kyle Marr.
Nice.
You're like Oprah. You're like, and you get
and you get a plugin.
Awesome. Well, good to have you on, Brian. Good to have you on. How about you, Gino?
Hi, I'm Gino Quiros. As you regular listeners know, my first time here, and excited to be a part of it. Been WordPressing since 2012, so fairly new to the scene, but really just kind of building websites. I'm up in the Monterey area, and kind of excited and nervous to be on the show with you guys.
You have a lot of media behind you.
Sure does. That's like one hard drive's worth of stuff back there, dude. That's pretty awesome. I got a thumb drive over here somewhere. Here, we'll use this 32 gigger. How about this 32 gigger? We'll use one of these guys.
We should be able to get all that media.
That's an entire shelf right there.
Awesome. Well, good to have you on, Gino. How about you, George? How's it going, man?
Good. I am George Savanas. I work on Jetpack for Automatic. I like building all sorts of shinies, and I'm currently packing for a team meetup down in Austin, which I really should have thought to complete before I got on the call.
Let's talk about packing cubes.
Packing cubes, exactly.
Hey, I've got a set of WordPress branded packing cubes, and I never use them. So
Sam loves the packing cube. She loves the packing cubes.
So into packing cubes.
Oh my god.
I have a packing cube. It's called a suitcase.
The mega cube.
Say's our superwoman on the show here. She's in her phone booth over there. We work. How's it going, Say?
Did you say she's a stupor woman?
Superwoman.
Like she's walking around in an exhausted stupor?
Yeah, she's going to jump out of the phone booth. Exactly.
I bring my laptop.
Do it. Do it right now while on camera.
Except for there's some weird implications because wasn't Superman changing in the phone booth? So that's not what I'm going to do. Just this is not that kind of a show. But yeah.
Yeah.
We have after 300.
We're not water cooler after dark.
Once we get on Crowdcast, you watch.
Right.
Who am I? I'm the weird one. That's what it is. There's the
no, we fight over that.
You're the cute one, George. Come on. I'm Say Reed.
Does that make me the smart one? Go on.
Cricket.
Wow. Don't everybody jump in at once.
I'm Say. I make WordPress, teach WordPress, preach WordPress. I am on a WordPress jag, and I want to tell you this really funny story just real quick. So my business partner had been so immersed in WordPress, she like woke up the other day and she texted me. She goes, this is not an announcement, by the way. This is not a thing. Okay, just FYI. But she's like, I had a dream that you were pregnant and you named your baby Gutenberg.
Oh no!
And she's like, you can't, because then everyone's gonna call it Baby Goot. I've been waiting for a while to tell you guys that story. I don't want any rumors to get started.
Oh, they're starting. Oh, I just tweeted it.
Steve, how's your pregnancy going? What's going on, man?
Actually, Gutenberg's my middle name. I am Steve Zingit. I am the founder of Zeek Interactive. I run the OC WordPress meetup.
George is having a say-on.
What is he doing? George, what are you doing?
I am praying for the spirit of little baby Goot.
Oh my gosh. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter, my website, jasontucker.blog. I run the Whittier WordPress meetup. And we do this show. And we also do another show over on WP Watercooler. Feel free to go take a look at that on WP Blab. All right. So yeah, we
Here we are.
we
Okay.
spent 5 minutes talking about ourselves. That was pretty awesome.
It's the quickest we've ever done it.
Right?
We had to introduce Baby Goot. So, again,
goodness.
not a thing.
Not a thing.
Not a thing.
It's already on Twitter.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's done. All right, Facebook is already algorithmed me.
Algorithm?
They've algorithmed.
Algorithmy?
I don't know that that's a word.
I
They're
love
like,
it.
you're a woman in your 30s. Guess what you want?
I do want to say that this particular episode of WPwatercooler is sponsored. We actually have a sponsor.
You're
Steve,
supposed to
I'm
have
telling you.
that before.
Sponsored by
no.
Steve?
No, I had to make sure
Prod.
that everyone got their stuff out. So yeah,
Before we drop off the call.
so desktop server over at serverpress.com is sponsoring this particular episode. So thank you very much for helping us out with that. We really appreciate it.
I'll stay on the
Actually,
call for them.
I will be hanging out with Mark Benzacane tomorrow.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Good.
Mark's great.
Desktop server gets thumbs up.
Yes,
Sure does.
always.
Not just
Always.
because they're sponsors, but because it's a really great company and they have a really great product.
They have a great product, but more importantly, they have excellent customer support.
Yes, they do. And
They have
They
Mark.
totally owe me like eight more times what they paid.
Yeah, seriously.
Personal.
did I mention
That's totally
site
true.
sync now? It's like every time we mention something, we're like, it's like
Ding.
one of those pledges where it's like if you go around the thing, every time you go around the thing, we'll give you so many dollars. So it's like
Isn't that,
So
isn't that
Steve's gonna
from
be on the
model?
phone in the back, and he's gonna be making deals, and he's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, we'll put you down for $500, no problem. Okay,
Need
I got
product
one for
placement, so
500 right here."
Like, ooh, this drink is great. You know?
Yeah, right.
We're just doing Wayne's World product placement shows.
Good old Tim Hortons, Gotta make sure that Tim gets his in there.
And there's this lovely battery pack from NetSparker, Red Application Security Scanner.
I use it for all my explosions.
So what are we going to talk about for the next 23 minutes?
Oh man.
Desktop server and how it has changed my life.
talk about
Well,
that.
so say during the pre-show brought up a topic we've never actually discussed before, which is
No way.
alternative
It's impossible.
ways of being able to log into WordPress, and I think it's an interesting topic to discuss a little bit.
Oh,
You would.
She was using she was talking earlier about using Jetpack to be able to do those logins. Do you want to kind of tell us a little about that, Say, and then George can tell you how awesome it is?
Yeah, well, sometimes when you're working with the more beginner client, having multiple logins is a problem. So especially obviously if you're using WordPress.com, that makes sense on its own. But if you're using a self-hosted WordPress and using Jetpack, which you should be, and not just because George is here, because it's actually a really useful plugin, then you can use Jetpack Single Sign-On, which gives access to the site via WordPress.com logon, and then your client only has to remember one password instead of a million passwords. I struggle a lot with clients getting really confused between their different logins. So
You should try changing their passwords every 60 to 90 days. That's always a lot
they
of fun
change
too.
their passwords
Yeah,
every
and it's
5 seconds.
and if they're remembering credentials for like 10 different sites, changing password on all of them and keeping them all unique. Honestly, having one shared login system, whether it's WordPress.com or Google or
Well,
whatever,
Google presents
that's
some
fine.
problems, though. Google can get you into some weird loops sometimes when you log in. This is what I have found with Google sign-on. Like if you're not logged into the right email, or if you're not, like if everyone's got 20 million Gmails or Google accounts.
Yeah.
So if you're not logged into the right one, it's like, no, you can never get in. And then if you can't, so I've actually run into problems with the Google sign-on, and I've never used the Facebook social sign-ons because screw Mark Zuckerberg.
that can be a pain, but something I'm getting an echo. Sorry. One thing we did at Zeek is we wrote our own login or single sign-on with Google OAuth. So we actually do use our Ooh, look at me. Yeah.
Why did you do that? Like, why would you roll your own?
Making his own forms and everything, like Say used to do back in
We
the
have
day.
it for
Because he can bill for the time that he spends built.
That's so
No. We have it. We just have it so that we can easily get into any of our WordPress sites with one for all of our clients with one sign-on.
Oh, so it's for you, not for the client.
It's for me. It's for me personally. It's for all of our employees.
He built a back door to his client sites, okay?
No, that's not what I did. No back doors, no Easter eggs. It's in our contract. We can't do that.
Create a page template called Super Secret that just logs in the admin user when you visit it, and that's it.
So, but do you worry about how your clients log on at all? Or, I mean, because you're talking about basically building yourself your own super admin that you're just able to log in when you're logged into C-Suite.
It is. Yeah, it is. We do. Every client's a little bit different. A lot of our clients are on WP Engine. The pain with WP Engine is and I know this. I know that sounds. What's that?
Well, now they have so many accounts, and they have to have WP Engine, and then their site, and then the blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely, but I think that our biggest complaint with the clients is that WP Engine enforces their own strong password on top of what the WordPress strong password is, right? And so they complain about that quite a bit because there's no way around it on WP Engine.
No,
there's always a way around it if you're inventive enough.
I have a way around it. It's called the database access in WP CLI, but my clients can't do that.
So the way that we've gotten around the issue that Say was talking about regarding using Gmail is I force everyone to use an account that uses our domain. So they're all using our church's domain account. And so they're able to log in using those email addresses. So when they get a big list of all those emails, that list is actually truncated and it's only down to just the ones that are in our domain. So if somebody has multiple accounts, then they get to pick between those, but only within our actual domain name.
That's using your G Suites for your.
Yeah.
So
and that's super nice because.
Did you roll that yourself, or is that?
Nope. So the tool that we use is from it's called WP-glogin.com, and they have a whole suite that's kind of set up for it, and I love it. I mean, this thing is amazing because it's able to
definitely download the Glogin plugin.
The Glogin plugin
what you're
is
saying
really good.
Is that the WP Glogin suite is like pretty sweet.
Sweet. Sweet.
I was trying to slip that in at the right time.
Actually,
you were trying to slip in the comment about the Glogin.
Yeah. What I like about it as well is if you want to, you can actually do other things like embed, Google Docs and embed lists of files that are in a Google Docs folder and all that fun stuff. But you can also get like a directory, so you can get a nice directory of list of all the people that are in the domain as well. I know this is for somebody where if you can control all of that, if you have a client where they're just using their own, email addresses and all that fun stuff, you can't do this sort of thing. But when you can control everything, it makes it pretty easy.
So what's wrong with this?
Do you allow? Sorry, it was follow up to Jason. Do you allow your clients to use their site login in addition to their Google login, or is it only forced over to the Google login?
I force it to only our Google login, so that way we don't have anybody trying to create their own accounts. And I want to really make sure that only the people that are allowed to be in there can be in there. And when we hire and fire somebody, we add them into the G Suite, and then I can remove them from G Suite, and then they're no longer able to access the account.
How often do you fire people? That's the question.
It is a church.
It depends. Well, okay, I can give you a good example of that. So
I'm happy to do that for you if you need.
For instance, for us, like we have interns, so we'll have an intern that comes in. They only work for like 6 weeks, and then they leave. Well, okay, here's your 6 weeks login, and you can use that. And then when you're done, we kick you out, and you're not able to log back in again.
And this is a concern for all of my enterprise clients. They always ask about this because they don't want any logins or data siloed anywhere. So if you're working on a WordPress site, bigger enterprise clients are going to want you to use their single sign-on. So for this exact reason that Jason's talking about, because when somebody leaves, they don't want them to have access to any of their systems.
Yeah.
And you also need to worry about the fact that if the person still has the dashboard open and then they were to go click on something, they could potentially still be logged in even though they technically don't have an account, or their account was suspended, or you just changed its password. Essentially going in and having to like blow out and reset all the salts and reset all the everything just to kind of clear the deck and make sure that they're not able to stay logged in is a big concern as well.
Good call. Does this work with WordPress 5.0?
What?
Does this all work with WordPress 5.0?
Oh, sure, totally, dude.
Can you build your login page in Gutenberg?
Word today. Oh my god! Wait.
All good, dude.
So I have
Oh,
a
good.
question about your systems that y'all built, both you and Jason and whomever else, obviously. So what do you do for if you're using an
Or
alt
Klondike
login?
bar?
What would you do for a Klondike bar? A. And then B, what do you do about the landing page that happens after login? So is that dashboard for you guys? Or are you directing them to what is that next step? And C, are you using your logon to change that if you're changing it, or are you using something else? I'll take your answers offline.
Well, that would be good because we don't really have time to answer all of them from everyone for all the exact same things in the 14 minutes we have left.
Well, the answer for A for all of you is Klondike bar is, jump up and down and run around maybe. Okay, there you go. That's the limit. Let's keep it clean.
So for me, I don't want my users to be in the dashboard because the any type of things that they're doing on the site is all on the front end. And when it's for instance, on our intranet's built with WordPress, and we use logins through that. And so having that, they just go into the intranet and they're on the main homepage of the site. But I'm blocking the ability for anybody to access that site by using a couple different plugins to kind of check to see whether or not somebody's trying to log in or not. And then if they are, or if they're trying to go onto the website, bump them over to the login screen. On our normal website, we have them go to a special page where they just have a few different boxes that they can kind of fill in using Gravity Forms to be able to kind of fill in the forms to be able to post things on the site.
How are you routing them there?
So I'm using a plugin made by the same company called All-in-One Intranet that will do the routing for you. So it'll force everybody to go through this route if I want them to on the intranet site. On the main website, I think I'm using it's like white label CMS to do that sort of thing as well.
So I put into the show notes 2 other plugins that we've used in the past. One is the NextEnd social login, right? It allows you to log in with Facebook, Google, and Twitter. We've used it specifically for Facebook and Twitter in the past, and that works very nicely. It also scales, right? There's the regular Facebook login. I can't remember exactly why, but because it's been a few years, there was a scalability problem with it. I think it conflicted with caching.
Facebook? Sorry.
No. I think there was a conflict with the caching solutions that somebody like a WP Engine uses, and so that plugin I would stay away from. This NextEnd has a way around it, so I would use that. The other plugin I put in place is the SAML plugin from Mini Orange. So if you are dealing with a large enterprise client that uses something like Microsoft Active Directory, that's how to integrate with WordPress and their single sign-on. I know this is big stuff.
Microsoft Active Directory, I'm going to lose my mind.
Dude, the amount of stuff that you have to do to pull that one off is fun.
These things exist. These things still exist.
They do. The thing
not fake news. Yeah.
For those who use Easy Digital Downloads, I guess it's just an example if you want to customize when someone logs in where they redirect. That's got a couple of conditions. Hey, did they have something in the cart? Okay, put them to the checkout because you want them to buy. Hey, are they admin? Okay, take them to admin, right? So so you can a little bit of code you can customize.
Oh, cool.
With EDD?
That's with that's just an example of the login redirect filter. But that's an EDD.
Is that one of yours?
Make EDD, I wish.
No, I was like, I don't know why you mentioned it very plug-like, but you were just like
it's one of my mini plugins that I stole from somebody else.
I forked that from someone else. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So there's some single sign. So we're not going to talk about WP 5.0? No?
We have talked about that literally for the past year. Like, if you're not bored about it yet, I sure am. I'm like, do you want to say something else about Gutenberg and 5.0?
I'm more just like, wow, it's 2 weeks and I still don't know what's going in there. That's cool.
I've been, I guess if we're talking about this, I've been following really closely on my core, on the Slacks. Yep. Like following thankfully 2019 is looking good. Good 2019 getting their stuff. I'm very applauding of them because they have really working really hard. One of my friends has been doing some commits. Go Brianna, Technosiren, what?
Raise the roof.
Raise the roof, what? But also just the core, just watching the track or the Slack and all the stuff that's happening, and there's been a couple little like mini skirmishes. Like this is the most interesting time to be on the Slack channels ever. And they're constantly just like everyone's talking. It's like madness. It's like a sprint of.
So, should you be describing the thing that's going to get pushed to millions of users? It's like madness. Like that's a little like.
So Say talks about it as it's a very exciting thing, but George hasn't said anything about how exciting it is that Slack is being very busy.
Yeah.
How could you comment on that, George? Is that just work for you? Is that just like
if George's frame is frozen, or if he's just not saying?
No, I'm just. Slack's too busy.
I was listening.
But how is that? How is that for you, George? Like for me, at work, when things are really busy, people are running back and forth between the offices, talking to each other, and the hallways are going crazy. The Slack hallways for you, how is that? I mean, are you seeing that people are busy running around doing all the things, or are they just being quiet?
It can be. It depends. I mean,
if
at the moment I'm in probably about 50 separate channels, so there's not really one main hallway channel that you get to see everyone dashing between channels or anything. So if something isn't running through the things I'm actively focusing on, I generally don't say it. In the moment anyways.
In this case, he's like focused on my tools.
Yeah, I can actually.
I mean,
yes,
that's
Slack, as much of a distraction it is also great at letting me focus because I can just ignore Slack as an entirety and work on what I've got in front of me.
Yeah.
So,
I just see it as me looking at the mail server and watching all the emails go through, and I'm waiting for the ones that relate to me. Like I can't wrap my brain around it.
Emails, is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, Slack is supposed to replace email. So the fact that you're seeing these people send messages to each other, but you're never actually fully looking at it.
Slack is supposed to
Slack is supposed to replace emails.
Says who?
I mean, that would be.
says Slack, but really, admittedly, for us, it more replaced like IRC and HipChat and whatnot. But well, they bought HipChat, but that's a separate issue. But no, I mean, prior to moving to Slack 5 years ago, Automatic was primarily on IRC with a ZNC proxy to it, so that like if you were disconnected, you could still get messages that waiting for you when you reconnect, and it worked, but it didn't have all the pretty emoji and GIF embeds and whatnot. So Slack it was really.
Yeah.
I totally
and the mobile apps really, which ability to smoothly transform and run everything on multiple platforms is what does it.
Yep, that's huge.
All right.
I totally had a question.
So that's
That's about Slack. Shit. Oh well. Sorry. It's gone. It was the most genius question that ever existed, and it's gone now. So, what are you gonna do?
That's fair.
I didn't really. Did everyone finish telling me about what they use to reroute after login? Because that's actually something I really want to know.
I would definitely look into the code that Brian posted. It looks like it would take care of most of those issues that you're having to kind of address.
There's a plugin called Paul. Is it Paul? Paul's login redirect or something like that. That is very. Is it Paul?
I should name my plugins after my name. Yeah.
You totally should. I'm like, hey, are you Paul of Paul Login?
Brian's forked plugin number 1. Brian's forked plugin number 2.
My first name, George, and you're like, nope, sorry, you can't check it.
Gino, what were you saying?
Is it Peter's login redirect?
I was going to say Peter. Peter, not Paul. So you got to rob Peter.
You sure it's not Mary?
Damn it, say.
It's so weird that we don't have a really good.
I don't know. My point is here. So that allows for redirect on login based on user role, which is obviously very useful. But I'm using membership accounts, and membership accounts are not the same thing as user roles. So there isn't one I've been able to find for that. So I've been doing some research. So really, I was just trying to Make you guys beat my Google.
He would do it, right? Because he would just find out whatever that little bit of code to be like, how do you get their member role? And then just be if member role equals this, redirect wherever the hell you want.
I'm going to just send you a quick email, and then you can go ahead and send that back. That'll be awesome. Super great.
Last time I was on,
I think he just wrote the code on air.
I literally.
Yeah, I'm going to need that written. I'm going to need that in cut and pastable.
No, he did this. He did this.
If not,
Is there semicolons at the end of each of his statements? I want to make sure that we're not going to get an error here.
That was the this. He did this and this.
I can write
That's the
that
encapsulation.
what I need you to do is go into the membership plugin and figure out what the role of the account.
you want to give me access to your site, FTP, your credit card.
Coming towards you, and I hear you volunteered that during the show, so we're good.
All your
Finding now.
Information, yeah.
Totally covered. It'll be fine.
You know, I really wish this show had more chemistry. It's so sad that none of us know how to like have a good laugh and actually talk to each other or anything.
Now that you've said that, though, I want you to know you've completely ruined it because
the 300 episode, the 300th episode is just gonna be
done now.
It's gonna be that awkward Thanksgiving dinner with the family, and you're like, everybody's just sitting here with their phones out, going like, "That's cool, dude. Yeah, all right."
You want to watch a video?
Dude, I got this really funny one. Check it out.
Dude, this is so funny. It's like
But while we're around the table, you know what we need to do?
What's that?
We need to have the airing of grievances and the feats of strength piece for my freaking Festivus poll, okay?
Oh,
I
God.
built a bunch of little mini Festivus polls. These are my Christmas presents to people.
Oh, that's
Sorry, Festivus presents.
Nice.
for the record, I think you should have a website that sells those.
I
There are
think
a couple
it should be called
plugins you can use.
George'sFestivusPolls.com.
Yes.
No, George'sPolls.com.
Perfect.
Taken. It's already taken.
No. Hey, I hear there's a domain that's up available now called like Poll Daddy or something because it's
That's like when you know the little plugs, Starbucks things, right? The plastic ones.
Yeah.
So we'd be like, oh, that's really not environmentally friendly. We should make metal versions of that. Yeah, I recommend do not type into Amazon metal plugs.
I mean, or do.
Tip of the day.
I'm doing it right now.
not on work internet you won't.
Completely.
That's so good. I do want to talk real quick though about since you brought it up, George, and we only have a couple seconds, minutes, whatever. The name switch of Poll Daddy. Obviously that came out. I actually commented on a WP Tavern like article, which I was like, I never do that. Like, why would I do that?
The countdown.
I know.
It said it.
But like it was like people were like, oh, that's silly that they changed the name. Why would anyone care about the name? That's so lame. That's what the comments. And I was like, excuse me, I specifically never use that plugin specifically because of the name. So there you go. Like I didn't even look at it. So the fact that they've changed the name, like, why am I going to send out a freaking link that says Poll Daddy on it? Like, that is not appropriate. Like I was surprised that was the name for so long. And that people were like, after they were like, that might be offensive. People were like, no, not offensive.
Well, we have nonsense, so whatever.
So George's polls. Happening. I can make you a site real quick. Sometimes the devs can't actually. This is like the problem with my brother. He's like such a deep coder, and you like tell him to make a website. He's like, I don't know how to do that.
We're gonna spin up a Squarespace site for George so he can sell his polls on there without actually having to have an SSL cert. That's gonna be pretty awesome, George. You're gonna have that done in like 3 minutes.
George, we can't hear you now because now your mic's too far.
His poll is causing interference.
That was by design.
By design, you're gonna have really simple PayPal-based polls. It'll be great. It's just in time for Christmas. I'm sure there's no trademark on Festivus.
No, not
Very high strength to weight ratio.
Look at the time.
Hey, well, I want to say thank you all for airing your grievances. I really appreciate it. Make sure to go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com. You can click on the links there to subscribe. If you want to check out our sponsor site, you can go take a look at that over at Desktop Server over at serverpress.com. Really appreciate it, guys. You have a good one.
Don't forget another sponsor, georgespoles.com.
Coming soon.
Powered by Wix.